This is a production of WTVI PBS Charlotte.
The following episode of Job Ready is brought to you by Central Piedmont Community College and viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Job Ready. I'm Tony Zeiss. The purpose of our show is to share emerging workforce trends in the Charlotte region and identify career options and resources that are available to you and your family. My guest today is Dr. Pamela Davies, and she's the president of Queen's University. Welcome, Pamela.
Thank you, Tony. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you, and we are excited to learn all about Queen's University. But before we go to Queen's University, let's learn a little bit about you. Tell us about your educational career.
Okay, well, I have been in Charlotte now for 14 years. Time certainly flies. I came here in 2000 as Dean of the McCall School of Business, but was fairly quickly named as president of Queen's.
I remember that.
That's right, in about 2002. So I've just completed my 12th year as president of Queen's. I was actually born and raised in the Midwest. I was born in Kansas City and raised in Missouri, actually. But I've been on the East Coast for most of my professional career. I came here most recently from Drexel University in Philadelphia, where I was dean of the business school.
Another private school, right?
Another private school, yes.
Well, you have done wonders with Queens, and you have the respect of everybody in our region. I can't believe you've been here 14 years. It seems like just a couple of years ago we had Billy Wireman's retirement and your succession, but 14 years have gone by quickly. Tell us, what are some two or three of the things you're most proud of in those 14 years?
Well, I'll tell you what, I inherited a phenomenal institution when I came to Queen's. It is a unique and very special place. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the history of Queen's, if I might,
Absolutely.
Because it's, I think, important to the history of Charlotte. Queen's was founded in 1857 by the Presbyterian Church as a liberal arts college for women. The church had founded Davidson 20 years prior to that in 1837 as a liberal arts college for men. And in 1867, they founded Johnson C. Smith as a liberal arts college for African Americans, which I know you had Ron on your show, and he told a little bit of that history. But if you think about the Presbyterian Church and how forward-thinking and progressive they were in the mid-19th century to be providing educational opportunities for women and African Americans, it really gives you a lot to be proud of. We were actually founded down on College Street, and that is why College Street is named College Street, but moved to our Myers Park location in 1914 with 5 original buildings that still are standing today. And if you were to see an aerial in 1914 of Queens, you'd see that was the only thing in the neighborhood at that time. There weren't the big, beautiful canopied trees, nor were there houses or residential areas around it. It was just Queens, and it was way outside the center city. But I think because, we were founded by the church, we've always had a very strong service orientation. Presbyterians live out their faith through service to others. Our motto has been not to be served, but to serve. And that has been a tradition that has carried through many, many years and is still very alive and true at Queen's
Those
today.
Scots-Irish Presbyterians have done a remarkable job of developing our community.
It really has. I think we see that that influence in Charlotte as a city as well, but certainly at Queen's, and we're really proud of that heritage.
And the Queens, of course, does that go back to Queen Charlotte?
Yes, it does.
That's
yes,
right.
it does indeed. But, over the years, Queen's has evolved from what was once a single-sex liberal arts college into what is now today a comprehensive university serving both undergraduate and adult students, or traditional age, I should say, and adult students at the undergraduate and graduate levels. So we have really evolved. We are ranked number 18 among Southern Master's universities. There are about 115 or 120 schools in that category. So,
that's remarkable.
yeah, we have performed well. We believe at the foundation of all great cities are great colleges and universities. And
I would agree with that.
You're proud to lead one of those,
Right.
and I think certainly CPCC. You may not remember this, Tony, but this happened probably 8 or 9 years ago. I was speaking at the Charlotte Rotary, and we were talking about the importance of vision And I said, I read CPCC's vision last night, and Tony, you need a new vision. Your vision is to be the best workforce development institution in the country. You already are. That's not aspirational. You have achieved that.
We've talked about that. Is it the International Workforce Development School but who knows?
Vision can be, it needs to be aspirational and can be shifting because you all have accomplished so much.
And indeed, we have established a new economic vision for Charlotte and the region to become a global hub of commerce.
That's right.
And that ties right into, we can't reach that vision without colleges and universities. So let's go to your students first. Who are your students? How many are your students? What are they enrolled in, graduate, undergraduate, that sort of thing?
Okay. We have about 2,400 students in total, about 1,300 traditional undergraduate students, and another, 11 to 1,200 graduate and adult students. Our traditional undergraduate students come from, typically our freshman class will hail from 30 different states and 15 different countries, predominantly up and down the East Coast, but really spread far and wide at the end of the day. So it's a fairly diverse group geographically. About 50% of our students come from outside North Carolina. So we do have a good, strong predominance of North Carolina on our campus. We're a very diverse institution. Sometimes people don't understand that or assume that, but we're actually, one of the most diverse private institutions in the South. So we're very proud of, the diversity of our student body and our inclusion of all students of all races and ethnic backgrounds into our...
And gender.
And absolutely, we are no longer a women's college. We did make that change some time ago. So great student body. Then we have, in the last 10 years, we've added a number of academic units. So when I came, we had the College of Arts and Sciences and the McCall School of Business. And since that time, we've added the Presbyterian School of Nursing, the Blair College of Health, the Cato School of Education, the Knight School of Communication. So we've added a number of different programs. And all of those professional schools have graduate programs that they offer as well. So again, we have adult students taking undergraduate programs in the evening, and then we have graduate students enrolled, and I think we have 11 graduate degree programs.
Is it safe to say that one of those things you're most proud of, besides the college you inherited, happens to be the development of these new programs that have then evolved into graduate programs as well?
Yes, absolutely. And again, it was that evolution to a comprehensive university. And as I said earlier, we believe at the foundation of all great cities are great colleges and universities. And if you look at places like Atlanta and Dallas and Chicago and, cities that and Nashville, even with Vanderbilt, you just really see a high caliber and a breadth of institutions and high caliber institutions. So the expansion of our academic programs was part of that commitment, I think, to serve our community
Because
well.
we're ever evolving based upon needs of employers and interests of students.
That's right.
Now tell me about your students, I suppose, tend to be mostly full-time students.
Yes, our traditional undergraduate students are full-time students. Yes.
Are they residential?
Predominantly residential. We house, I haven't cited these statistics in a while, but I think about 70% of our students live on campus.
Very good. And of course, you're pretty much neighborhood bound now, but I know you've built some new buildings. Tell us about those new buildings.
We have invested pretty aggressively in our campus infrastructure in recent years. So we've built about $100 million worth of new facilities just in the last 3 or 4 years. So we have a brand new Platinum LEED certified science building that's right there on the corner of Selwyn and Radcliffe. State of the art.
I've seen it, very impressive.
It's beautiful, and it's Platinum LEED certified, so we don't only teach environmental stewardship there, but we live out that commitment in that building. But you'll see a green wall that is planted in the shape of a strand of DNA, and everywhere you look in the building, there are just exciting elements to it that cause the building to speak to the mission and to the content of what we're teaching, as well as what's happening in the classroom. So
very impressive.
Jim and M.A. Rogers were the lead donors on that.
I saw their name on that building.
That's right, and from Duke Energy, and Duke was very supportive, as well as many other community leaders. So,
well, just the fact that your programs all have names, the
That's a good
Cato
sign.
Educational, the McCall School of Business, tells me that besides being a good educator, you're also a good fundraiser.
Well, I think people see it as a good investment and a good investment in the future, and we're very grateful for their support. The other two buildings we have opened recently was, and you can appreciate this, a residence hall with 500 parking spots below it, which
Wow.
was, much needed, particularly in the area of town we're in. We needed to get the cars off the streets and parked in high-rise, more of a,
Urban
inside
setting.
structure and more
And I
urban
remember
setting.
seeing that hole, and I kept thinking, when are they going to hit water?
Well, that was a big hole, wasn't it?
Yes.
So we built that building, and then we just opened the new Levine Center, which is just a phenomenal addition to our campus. Our previous recreation center was 30,000 square feet. The Levine Center is 145,000 square feet, and it is home to many of our athletic programs, but just a real boon to student life and contributing to the
Especially for a
vibrancy.
residential college.
It
It's
is.
perfect. And I have not seen it, but you had a lot of very good press coverage on it. And I know it's a wonderful amenity to your students. That becomes their home
It
for
is.
2 semesters, or basically more than that.
Yeah.
Eight semesters
Eight
if they
semesters,
go on to
it
graduate
is.
school.
And they're more inclined to stay on campus their senior year, given the improvements in the housing opportunities as well
Right.
as the amenities on campus like the Levine Center. So we're really, really proud of that facility. And I think I mentioned to you earlier, people may not also be aware, but we have 19 men's and women's NCAA Division II sports programs. So the Levine Center gives a lot of life to that, as well as our
That's
facility.
astonishing. Isn't that that's a lot of
And that's without
programs
football
for
or baseball.
Yeah, oh my goodness, that's a lot of programs. So you have a lot of options for your students.
Absolutely. One of the most recent, the sports we added most recently was swimming. And this year the men brought home they were number 4 in the nation for their swimming in the national tournament, and the women were number 3. So the program's only in its 4th year, and we've had really great success on that. And
Do you have scholarships for those
we do.
sports programs?
Yes. As is the case with many private institutions, and I think sometimes families don't fully comprehend the amount of scholarship support that is available to them. And I would really encourage families to look closely at what the net cost of any educational opportunity they may have is, because there are a lot of scholarships. We certainly have scholarships for financial need. We have scholarships for academic merit. We have athletic scholarships. We have service scholarships. So
Let's talk about that a little bit. You know, one of the greatest concerns of parents today, and adult students in particular, is the affordability. They want a good education that's affordable. So what is your tuition, and then let's talk some more about the alternatives for students in terms of tuition support scholarships.
Sure. Well, our tuition is about $29,000, and that is what a full pay student would pay. However, 90% of our students are eligible for some sort of financial
There you
aid.
go.
So the average student may pay more in the $18,000 range than the $29,000 range when they qualify for academic merit scholarships or financial aid scholarships or other scholarships. So it is not as inexpensive on a net basis as a public institution, which I'm very proud of the state of North Carolina for providing outstanding educational opportunities in our public institutions. But, the important thing for all students is finding the right fit, and being in a small, more intimate, liberal arts-oriented environment is the right fit for many students. And so
Do you get any public support?
we do. North Carolina provides some support to private institutions, and
And that's a good investment because the public institutions are at or beyond capacity. So
they certainly are. They certainly are. Their capacity issues, and the state invests much less to educate a student in a private institution than they do in
Right.
a public institution.
Right.
So again, I'm a product of public institutions, go Gators, but having been now in a private institution for many years, I see the differences and the value.
And
of
the
both.
value of both.
Absolutely.
And we have students who transfer to
Absolutely.
Queens.
We have articulation agreements with you, obviously, and other community colleges.
And they love their experience. In fact, we hired back one of our students who went through Central Piedmont, went through your business program, I believe it was, went on and got his master's. We hired him back, and now he's one of our top people in student services, giving back. So
Well, I should tell your audience that if you go to CPCC, get Tony Zeiss as your personal advocate, because we have made it possible for a number of CPC students
That's right.
to come to Queens, and
including one of our student government association
you're a student body
presidents.
president.
Yes, I remember
Yes,
that.
absolutely. So you're a great advocate for your students, and I know they appreciate that so much.
And I know that you are too. Let's talk about programs. So if you were to, if some parents or even a student thinking about going to college and says, okay, I think maybe you can help me get some scholarships, I can afford Queens, but what sort of programs should I be taking where there's a job at the end of the line?
That's right. Well, we certainly try to work very closely with students, and because of our small size, that's one of the advantages we bring. I think it's being able to work closely with students to help assess their interests and strengths and what career readiness would look like for them. We have certainly a very strong liberal arts foundation. If you come to Queens, you're not going to get out of there without being steeped in the liberal arts. But some students choose not to major in political science or the humanities and choose to go on and enter one of our professional schools.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you look at the job statistics, you see great demand for business students. We have added a couple of new majors in our business program that we think will prepare students better for and make them more job ready and career ready. Certainly health, our Blair College of Health has added a number of new majors and continues to explore majors. One of the things we're looking at right now is a major in health promotion or wellness.
Very good.
Which is certainly a key to, I think, personal life quality for people, but also for economic health of this country. If we can address issues like diabetes,
smoking, and all these things.
With more preventative oriented strategies and with wellness kinds of initiatives, I think that we can have a big
That's
impact.
a good point. You even remember that years and when I was a young guy, the Dentist Society came out with all sorts of prevention things, but you never saw it on the medical side. But now that's beginning to happen.
Oh, you see it very definitely. We had Sanjay Gupta. We sponsored Sanjay Gupta recently, and he asked the question, "What do most 80-year-olds wish they had taken better care of?" And the answer was their teeth and their feet. So I think the Dental Association has caught up in helping people appreciate that earlier.
And we've got 176 million baby boomers are retiring in this decade. And
well, and interestingly, we're the baby boomers. I'm going to put us in that
you
category.
Are? I know I am.
Oh, well, I know I am too. The baby boomers are kind of moving into the need for health care more and moving out of the provision of health care. So you're seeing a lot of nurses and healthcare professionals reaching retirement age just at the time when the need for healthcare is escalating in our country. So the demand for healthcare professionals, and I think what our friends in the healthcare industry would tell you is things that extend the hands of the doctors. So nurses, PAs, people who can extend the hands of the doctors and reserve the higher level treatments for those terminally degreed people like medical physicians.
We are seeing that basically any student who majors in a healthcare area is going to get a job. That's what's happening today. And I think it's because of what we just talked about, the growing demand and baby boomers and so on. Also, you mentioned business. We're finding, particularly if they focus in a certain part of business, whether that's in finance or it's in accounting or it's in international business or something. Are you discovering something similar?
That's right. I think, employers often say they want communication skills, team building skills, all of these really important things that you develop maybe in the study of liberal arts. But when they go to hire, they'd like to know that you had 7 accounting courses and so there's
what can you do for me?
That's right. There's a tension between being just a well-educated person and having skills, very demonstrative skills that enable you to hit the ground running and begin
you need both
to contribute. You do need both, and we're working very hard to try to find that blend. One of the things about Queens that's a little unusual for institutions like Queens, we have a required internship experience.
I was going to go there. Tell us about that.
So all of our students, as a part of their curriculum, are required to do 6 hours of internship experience. Our preference is certainly that it's with 2 different employers and 2 different roles. These jobs sometimes teach students what they don't want to do as much as what they want to do, but it gives them, a sense of what it's like to be in the real world and an opportunity to enter into that real world in a meaningful way. About 57% of our internships result in job offers for those
That's
students.
a huge benefit.
That is a huge benefit, and particularly in the season in which we are living right now. Post the Great Recession, in light of the great controversy around the affordability and accessibility of higher education, amidst ambiguity around technology and how technology is, so higher education is a little bit in turmoil. So if you can demonstrate to a family that this investment does have a return, will pay off, our son or daughter will have gainful and productive and rewarding employment, that's an
the
important
key.
message for families to hear right now.
Very important. To that end, do you have career counselors because most of our students don't really know what they want to do. So we have to work with them a lot to help them choose what they're best at in terms of aptitude and interest. Do you do something?
Yes, we have it's newly named actually, the Vandiver Center for Internship and Career Services. So our students do work with counselors in that center, in the Vandiver Center. We bring in people like Bill Vandiver, a longtime bank executive, to help
Great guy.
mentor you. I'm sure you know Bill, who's he was our board chair at one point. As board chair or, as a trustee emeritus, he's got a passion for helping young people make that transition into the real world. So we do offer those services to our students.
Well, I think it's wonderful. And we've also learned from a lot of Noel Levitt studies, they're, experts on student retention, that the environment in which the students find themselves and their ability to recognize that they are making progress, those two factors affect student retention more than any others.
That's right.
And you've certainly got the environment.
We do.
And I think as a small school, you probably have enough counselors where students feel like somebody knows them and somebody cares about them.
Who their greatest counselors are their faculty. And that is something I inherited from Dr. Wireman. He was on the front edge of kind of innovative curricula and investment in faculty. We have had 5 North Carolina Professors of the Year, over the last 15 or 20 years. We have an outstanding faculty that are very committed to their students. So I would say if you ask the students, who are your greatest counselors and mentors, they would say the faculty. Yeah.
Well, that says a lot about your institution. Now I want to ask you a couple of questions before we wrap up. One of them is, look into your crystal ball and tell me what's in the future of Queens.
What's in the future of Queens? Well, we have invested over the last decade, or most of my tenure as president, we have worked to expand our program. So we added, Blair College Health, Presbyterian School of Nursing, et cetera, during those years. So I feel like we have expanded our academic programming to a place where I feel very, very comfortable that we provide the programs of studies that are very critical for students today that we're going to provide. We're never going to be an engineering school, but for the space in which we should be serving, I think we've got the right academic programs. So I don't see a lot more programs on the horizon. We had a very aggressive capital campaign, raised a little over $120 million.
Wow.
And invested, significantly into our infrastructure. So we have state-of-the-art academic buildings and recreational facilities and housing, et cetera. So I think, in Queen's future, what I really want to do is I want to strengthen our endowment and our support for scholarships. I want a Queen's education to be possible for any student who desires it, regardless of their financial ability to pay. So we have been through an exercise of reimagining our curriculum. All of our students study abroad do a 3-week study abroad tour as part of their
In addition to
tuition.
the internship.
Yeah, so our John Belk International program, each traditional undergraduate student goes on a 3-week study tour at the end of their junior year. So we've been reimagining ways to make that even more impactful. We've been reimagining our internship program and career readiness efforts. So we continue to, to try to be on the cutting edge, be innovative in terms of our curriculum. But if I had one dream for Queens, it would be that every student who desired to go there could afford to go there due to the generosity of others.
Right, and if you can get your endowment built up to help with that.
That's right.
That's probably the greatest legacy you or I or any other president could leave. And you know, I don't know about you, but when I'm fundraising, I never think that I'm selling something. I'm just giving people the opportunity to do meaningful things for other people.
That's right.
And they do it. Now, tell me about your board very quickly. You know, boards are critical to the direction of these schools. How many members on your board, and who's your board chair?
We have 36 members on our board. If I had to put the top 5 things that I'm really proud of in my tenure as president, the development of the board would be one of those. We just have an incredible group of people who care so sincerely about the future of the university, who take their role as trustees of a 150 plus year institution very seriously, and who step forward to help in so many ways. The money we raise for programs or facilities is in large part because of the active participation of our board members.
We couldn't do it without our boards.
We
Who's your
didn't.
board chair?
Michael Marsicano.
Oh, I know Michael
No,
well.
he's the
Well,
chair
you've
of
got
the
a great leader.
We have Michael
Yeah.
Tarwater on our board, who
Yeah.
leads CHS.
I knew
We
that
have
just last
Jesse
year.
Curtin and Ophelia Brown from Novant. We have
Yeah.
David Pope. And,
Now you're going to get in trouble if you miss them.
David Darnell. Yeah,
I'm going to save you, though.
stop.
I'm going to save
I'm
you.
gonna
We're
stop.
out of time. Pamela Davies, you've done a remarkable job. What a wonderful educational leader you've become. You're so important to our community, and thank you for being with me.
Thank you for all you do, Tony. Appreciate you having me.
A production of WTVI PBS Charlotte.